Hello, hello. I am Kirsten, Sobriety Bestie. This video is about benzo adverse effects, benzo side effects, things that we might happen when we take benzos. Just so that you know if you are on benzos or if a loved one is on benzos or you're thinking about getting on benzos or you're wondering what's going on and you're on them or you're going to come off of them. These are some of the effects that you might notice while you are on benzos. And this information is mostly, I'll put links below of where I did my research. Most of it's from the Ashton Manual, which is from Dr. Heather Ashton. It's called Benzodiazepines, How They Work and How to Withdraw. The first thing is over-sedation. So this might look like memory impairment, lack of concentration, vehicle accidents, falling, drowsiness, poor concentration, muscle weakness, dizziness, mental confusion, incoordination. And under memory impairment, it could lead to memory loss or like blackouts. There's an interesting thing about trauma, loss, and grief with benzos. I read some interesting research on this where if we're given benzos, and I certainly was, but if we're given benzos after a trauma or we are taking them after a trauma, the trauma has a hard time being processed and integrated into our system. So it's not actually resolved, like it is blocked. And so like here, benzos may prevent psychological adjustment to trauma. They may inhibit the grieving process because like for me at least, maybe this is your experience, I was certainly numbed out from the benzos. So the grieving isn't happening. I mean, this obviously happened from alcohol too, right? If you take something when you feel sad to not feel sad, then you're not actually processing that grief and moving through it. It's actually getting like buried underneath and it's energy. So it's not like it just goes away, right? It's still there. It also, benzos may inhibit the learning of stress-related coping skills to deal with the grief in the first place or any sort of emotional adversity or anything that comes up. Depression is something people, it may appear with prolonged use of benzos, they might be depressed. This is potentially because it reduces the brain's output of serotonin, norepinephrine, or noradrenaline. And sometimes it can also precipitate suicidal thoughts. Definitely, if you're having any suicidal thoughts, consult a doctor immediately or call a suicide hotline, right? Like, I'm not a doctor when I'm sharing this with you. I'm literally just trying to bring you this information on benzos in a really easy way to digest if you're into watching videos on YouTube. Because this is like, it was so hard for me to figure it out back in the day. And this was like a mystery that is like just been, some of it's been resolved by making these trainings for you. Like during this past week, I've been doing research on this to make these video trainings. And I'm like, whoa, I'm having all these epiphanies now, like literally 13 years after I've been off benzos. So I'm hoping that you're finding this really informative. If you have any questions, like leave me in the comments. Let me know what you think. If there's anything more you want me to know and cover, I'm happy to do it. Emotional numbing, this certainly was one of the benefits, right? One of the benefits of, not that I'm recommending emotional numbing at all. In fact, I teach the opposite. My channel is about the opposite. It's about learning how to feel, like, feeling good, like learning how to be a good feeler, feeling good sober. But emotional numbing, like lack of emotional responses, it may inhibit any feelings of pleasure or pain with long-term use. This was certainly like me, like I knew it at the time, but now I can see it also knowing the scientific research on it now that I know. I didn't know this when I was taking benzos. But like if life is like this spectrum of life and energy and emotions, like with like anger and sadness and some of the harder to feel emotions over here are the ones that aren't as pleasant, and like happiness or joy or aliveness over here, some of the ones we prefer probably. Like if that's the spectrum of life, benzos and alcohol, right? But benzos like numbed my life out. So I was like kind of okay with stuff that maybe I shouldn't have been okay with because it wasn't okay, because I wasn't really feeling the negative feelings around it. But I also wasn't feeling the joy or the aliveness or the, like my heart and my spirit, right? I was really numbed out and just kind of living like muted. Now, of course, under short-term use, like there are things that we need, like I don't want anyone to like watch this and feel bad about what they're doing. Like that is not the point of the video. The point of the video is to be like educational, informative, and so you can help make more conscious decisions in your life. That's all I want for you, is I want you to consciously choose in your life based upon your intuition and your best judgment. I want you to, I want to help you live your best life. With elderly, their nervous systems might be more sensitive or tend to be more sensitive as we age. So in the elderly group who are taking benzos, there might be more confusion, amnesia, loss of balance. This is an effect of the benzo. So there might be more falls, Remember, that's one of the symptoms of over-sedation anyways, and they're more, it might be better as recommended in the Ashton manual for short-term use in the elderly population, like 2 weeks versus like months, or like me, 2.5 years. Other things about pregnancies, definitely talk to your doctor if you're pregnant or thinking about becoming pregnant, and or your loved one is. There might be over-sedation in the baby, a lack of muscles, a failure to suckle. 2 weeks later, the baby might have withdrawal symptoms. They might have hyperexcitability, high-pitched crying, or feeding difficulties. These are some of the symptoms that might happen. Not with every baby, of course, and not with everybody. Also, there might be a chronic maternal use might affect the baby brain. There's an increasing concern. Now, this is concern that there might be some sort of hyperactivity, ADD, ADHD, autism, learning difficulties with children that were exposed to benzos in utero. This one is super interesting to me, agoraphobia. You saw it in one of my other videos, maybe when I had my epiphany this week. Y'all, it's 13 years after I've taken a benzo, and I'm just connecting the dots this week as I'm making these videos. This is wild. 20% of the people in Dr. Ashton's lab in her research developed agoraphobia after taking benzos. I developed agoraphobia. This is fear of leaving the house. So if you're afraid to leave the house, it's called agoraphobia, right? Literally, it's like afraid of the marketplace, but it means a fear of leaving the house. So 20% of the people taking benzos in her lab developed agoraphobia. My agoraphobia developed after I started benzos. I was not afraid to leave the house before I started benzos. It was after. So that was a huge epiphany for me. It was like, oh my God, like, there's nothing wrong with my brain. It's not me. I'm not afraid to leave the house. Like, it's an effect of the medicine. And maybe we are afraid to leave the house, and it has nothing to do with benzos, and there's no shame in that either. I just hadn't connected those dots, that some of the effects, potential side effects, adverse effects, they're not side effects, they're effects. This is an effect of a drug. Some of the effect is that it calms us down. That's why we take it, right? But these are other potential effects. And we also might develop a tolerance or a dependency where we might need more later, or they can become potentially addictive, or we can become dependent upon them. So it could be a psychological or a physical dependency. It can develop within the first few weeks or months of regular use. I was told they're not addictive, as you might have heard some of my story, right? Here's my video up here about my journey with benzos. When we're on them, we also might have an increased risk of an accident, whether it's at traffic, at home, or at work. We might have an increased risk at attempted suicide, especially if we're already depressed. Definitely talk to your doctor or reach out to a suicide hotline if this is you. We might have an increased risk of aggressive behavior or assault, job loss, unemployment. For me, at the end of my journey, now I can't separate any rest of my life experiences or my alcohol use disorder, right? My addiction to alcohol from my benzos, because it happened at the same time. And my nervous system has a history, right? I'm meeting my entire experience with the history of my nervous system. I meet the present moment. We all meet the present moment with our nervous system's history. We've been through stuff. We have different genetics. We have different ancestral traumas. We have been through different things in our life. So all of that is how we experience the world, our perception, our experience, our regulation levels or dysregulation levels, right? And so we all come to the present moment with a different experience. For me, by the end of my journey with this stuff, by the end of the rope, like by my bottom, right? Like my bottom with alcohol and benzos, or life with anxiety, really it was like, it took me to my knees. Like, it brought me down hardcore, where I almost died. Like, I felt like my spirit was about to leave my body. And at the very end, I was absolutely, like this line here, unemployment. I was unemployable. I could not concentrate. I could not think. I knew I couldn't learn anything new. My memory wasn't working. There was no way I could learn a new task and get a new job. Now, I can't say how much of that had to do with unresolved trauma, how much of that was because I had been drinking heavily, how much of that was because of the benzos. I don't know. But that's the state that I was in at the end. So then when I got sober and I went to rehab, got off alcohol and got off the benzos and was facing life, I still had a period where I would call unemployable. My brain wasn't really able to learn new things. My memory wasn't working very well. Now, this might not be your experience, but this was one of the things that I was faced with, right? Like, how do I concentrate? How do I learn? How do I calm myself down? how do I not have an anxiety attack? Like, that's the journey that it sent me on. And it's actually been like the journey of a lifetime. Like, it's actually been a beautiful experience because it completely transformed my life. Like, these are very powerful questions we get to ask. So some of it's heartbreaking and sad and dark and gloomy, right? But then there's also so much light also there. Like, we get to learn about our body. We get to have a new relationship with our inner world. We get to have a new relationship with the sensations inside, formerly called anxiety, right? We don't have to refer to what we're feeling as anxiety anymore. Oh my God, my heart's beating, right? We get to have this new relationship with what's happening inside of us. We get to learn how to be courageous more frequently and more often. So if I can be with my fear and my anxiety, I can be courageous. I can go after my dreams. But I have the capacity, the ability. I learn how to be okay with being uncomfortable. Then I can do uncomfortable things, like I can pursue my dreams. I can completely change my life. Like for me, I told you I was agoraphobic. I was afraid to leave the house. We can not only leave the house, we can start to travel, right? I was afraid to be on airplanes. Like I didn't know how to I didn't know how to be on an airplane without drinking or taking benzos. Well, that's something I got to learn how to do because I wanted to travel. I didn't know how, like I was afraid of driving. I got on the benzos because I had a car accident, right? And then I had a panic attack on that road and I was afraid that I would have another panic attack. I was afraid of freeways. I actually didn't drive for 3.5 years after that on a freeway. That's why I got on benzos in the first place, because panic attacks started after that. So I got to learn how to not only drive on the freeway again, but I went on a 95-day USA road trip where I drove all around the United States. I currently live on Bali, Indonesia. I drove completely around the island like 8 months ago. I went on a road trip all around Bali in a week. Guys, we drive on the other side of the road here. That means on the left, right? And I don't know if you've seen traffic in Southeast Asia or in Bali. It's a little wild. You get these motorbikes flying around. So what I'm saying is, no matter what kind of adverse effects we have from benzos, we can completely rewire our system and have a whole new experience of life. We can adopt a really positive and helpful mindset of one of being courageous. This is, like I said in one of my other videos, it's like the warrior walk, right? Somebody who is so uncomfortable inside or has been through so much that you want to take benzos in the first place to regulate yourself, which is totally normal. Who wants to be uncomfortable? Who wants to be dysregulated? Who wants to go through what you've been through or what I've been through? To be able to get to the other side and to learn how to love what we feel inside and like make peace with our feelings and then pursue our dreams. Like, it's a beautiful journey that we get to be on. The people who have been to the darkest places get to know the lightest places. This is really how I see the world. Because we've been through so much, we get to experience so much on the other side. So for me, that's what happened. I felt inspired to truly live. Because I had been living in a living hell, I'd been suffering in a living hell of fear and anxiety and discomfort in my skin, to the point of almost numbing myself out to death with alcohol and benzos, right? I almost like I hit a trampoline and went the other way. And I was like, I want to live. I want to come alive. And that's the invitation here. Like, I want to teach you in my channel how to feel good sober, so that if you still take benzos or you still drink or you still do whatever, you generally know how to feel good, so you're not uncomfortable in the moment. You know how to transmute that discomfort and feel good. But also, I want you to come alive. Like, I want you to be able to like get in touch with your heart and spirit and create the life that you want to live. I truly hope I can help guide you in that. Let me know in the comments. Like I like to say, type in the comments, claim it. I am courageous. Write in the comments, I am courageous. Claim it. Claim it. I am courageous. I love reading those comments of people just writing, I am courageous, or scrolling through my YouTube videos of people claiming I am courageous. It's a really powerful thing to claim. I feel the chills right now as I say that. Do you feel something when I say that? Do you feel something as you say, think in your head, I am courageous? I literally had to choose, I am courageous. I chose it. I didn't feel courageous at the time. I chose to be courageous. That's how we get free. We choose courage. We have all these adverse effects. We have all these symptoms. We're taking benzos, alcohol, whatever we're doing, and we choose courage. That's the invitation. I am courageous. Type it in the comments. I am courageous. You are so courageous. You are so courageous. You are so courageous. So I hope you enjoyed this video. You want to give it a little thumbs up? You do? You want a little thumbs up? Thumbs up? Thumbs up? Hands up in the air. Yeah. So yeah, so I just want you to know there's a lot of freedom available to you. I can't guarantee how much, only guarantee that it is there, it is waiting for you, and it's based upon you choosing courage. Have a beautiful day.